Welcome to Athaga Crispy. Today we delve into a case that revealed a hidden drama behind a perfect family facade. This is the story of the Turpins, a couple whose cruel control over their children led to unimaginable tragedy. Get ready to uncover a tale where truth surpasses fiction. David and Louise Turpin appeared to be exemplary parents in their Paris, California community. Their house, ordinary at first glance, concealed a living hell for their 13 children. What the world didn't know was that behind the walls of this house, a horrific drama was unfolding. David and Louise Turpin married in 1985 and initially lived in Fort Worth, Texas. They presented themselves as a loving, devout Christian couple. David worked as an engineer and Louise was a homemaker. Over the years, the couple had 13 children, homeschooling them and keeping them isolated from the outside world. Friends and relatives described the family as reclusive, but seemingly normal. The Turpins subjected their children to a life of unspeakable suffering. Locked in dark, foul-smelling rooms, they were often chained to their beds for months at a time. Deprived of adequate food, the children were severely malnourished, with some being so emaciated they looked years younger than their actual ages. Hygiene was non-existent. They were rarely allowed to bathe, leading to severe skin infections. The children were also subjected to psychological torment, forced to watch as their siblings suffered, and told that they were being punished because they were evil. Education was non-existent. Their isolation was so complete that many of them did not know what medicine or a police officer was. The extent of the abuse was staggering. The children were beaten, starved, and deprived of the most basic human needs. They were allowed to eat once a day, and their meals were often insufficient. They were denied access to the bathroom, forced to relieve themselves in their rooms, which further contributed to the filth and squalor in which they lived. Despite being homeschooled, they received no real education. They were not taught to read or write, and their social development was severely stunted. There were early signs that something was amiss. Neighbors noticed the children were rarely seen outside and appeared pale and underweight when they did. Relatives who visited the Turpin home found it strange that the children were quiet, almost fearful, and that they seemed to follow rigid rules. However, these signs were either dismissed or went unnoticed, allowing the abuse to continue unchecked for years. On January 14, 2018, a spark of hope ignited in this dark prison. 17-year-old Jordan Turpin braved her fears to escape the family hell. Using a stolen phone, she called for help and revealed to the world the horrors she and her siblings were enduring. Jordan's call to 911 was the beginning of the end for the Turpin parents. Authorities quickly responded, and what they found shocked even the most seasoned officers.
911 emergency, what are you reporting?
Help.
This is 911, do you have an emergency?
I just went away from home because I live in a family of 15, okay? Can you hear me? And we have abusing parents. Did you hear that?
Okay, how did they abuse you?
Okay. They hit us, they like to throw us across the room. They pull our hair, they yank out our hair. I have my two little sisters right now are chained up.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 17.
What's your name?
Louise Turpin.
When authorities entered the Turpin home, they discovered a scene of horror: malnourished children living in inhumane conditions. The investigation revealed prolonged abuse inflicted by David and Louise Turpin, with revelations as troubling as they were unsettling. The children were immediately taken into protective custody, and the Turpins were arrested.
I've seen a lot in my career, but this was something out of a nightmare. The conditions these children were living in were beyond anything I've ever encountered.
David and Louise Turpin were arrested and charged with multiple counts of child abuse, torture, and false imprisonment. During their interrogation, the Turpins maintained a facade of innocence, claiming they were protecting their children and providing for them.
I pray for my children every day. I want to say again, I'm truly sorry. I am for everything I've done to hurt them. I love them more than they could ever imagine.
But the evidence told a different story. The children's testimonies and the squalid conditions in the home painted a picture of prolonged and systematic abuse. In 2019, David and Louise Turpin pled guilty to multiple charges including child cruelty, torture, and false imprisonment. Their guilty plea spared the children the trauma of testifying in court. The Turpins were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, ensuring they would never harm their children again.
The court finds the defendants guilty of all charges. They are hereby sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. This court aims to ensure that justice is served for the victims of these heinous acts.
The Turpins' extreme parental control is a glaring example of psychological manipulation and abuse. Munchausen syndrome by proxy, where a parent causes suffering to a child to attract attention, is evident in this case. The Turpins used rigid control to maintain a false semblance of normality. Their obsessive need to control every aspect of their children's lives created an environment of fear and isolation. According to a psychologist,
the psychological impact on the children is profound. They have experienced severe trauma that will take years to heal. Their development has been significantly delayed, and they will require intensive therapy to recover from the abuse.
Since their rescue, Turpin children have received crucial support for their rehabilitation. Placed in foster homes, they receive intensive medical and psychological care. Their path to normalcy is long, but each day brings them closer to a new life.
The children are incredibly resilient. Despite the horrors they've endured, they are making remarkable progress. They are learning to trust, to engage with the world, and to build a future for themselves.
Recently, some of the children have begun sharing their stories publicly, showing admirable resilience. They have resumed their studies, regained a semblance of normal life, and are working to rebuild their future. The Turpin case has also led to increased awareness and potential reforms in child protection systems. We've come a long way since that day. We're learning to live, to dream, and to hope again. Our story is one of survival and resilience. The Turpin case sent shockwaves through discussions on familial abuse. It highlighted gaps in abuse detection systems and led to calls for reforms to protect children in similar situations. The lessons learned from this tragedy will continue to guide prevention efforts. Child welfare organizations are pushing for better training for social workers and more robust systems to detect and prevent abuse. According to a child psychology expert,
this case has prompted a nationwide review of child protection policies. We must ensure that no child falls through the cracks and that those in positions to help are equipped to do so.
the story of the Turpins is a stark reminder of human cruelty and the consequences of extreme control. Thank you for exploring this case with us. Subscribe for more fascinating stories, and remember, behind every facade lie truths waiting to be revealed. If you found this story as compelling as we did, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. At Athaga Crispy, we delve into the most gripping and mysterious cases, uncovering the truths behind closed doors. Join us as we continue to explore the dark corners of human nature, with new investigations and in-depth analyses every week. Don't miss out on our next story. Subscribe now and be part of our journey to uncover the hidden truths of the world.